The jungle of Zythera 9 stretched endlessly, thick with alien plants that glowed faintly under the pale light of the planet's twin moons. The air was humid, heavy with a strange metallic scent that made Captain Leora wrinkle her nose. Her boots sank slightly into the soft, moss-like ground with every step, and her eyes scanned the dense foliage for any signs of movement. She had been sent on a reconnaissance mission by the United Earth Fleet, tasked with investigating strange energy readings detected in this remote region. Alone, miles from her team, Leora felt the weight of isolation pressing on her chest. She moved carefully, listening to the faint whispers of the alien wildlife. Small, multi-limbed creatures scuttled along the ground, their shells reflecting the soft glow of bioluminescent plants. Strange, bird-like creatures circled high above, their shrill cries echoing through the misty air. Leora adjusted her helmet, the heads-up display mapping out the terrain, but it was still difficult to judge depth in the thick fog. The readings had led her here, but she had no idea what she would find. Suddenly, the ground beneath her shifted. Her boot caught on what looked like a vine, but before she could react, the surface gave way. Leora's heart raced as she fell into a hidden pit, the walls slick and covered in crystalline growths that shimmered dangerously in the dim light. She hit the bottom with a painful thud, and her leg twisted beneath her. Pain shot up her limb, sharp and immediate, but she gritted her teeth, forcing herself not to cry out. "Great," she muttered, her voice barely audible in the damp air. "Just perfect." She tested the walls, trying to climb, but her hands slipped against the smooth crystal surfaces. The pit was too deep to jump, too narrow to climb without proper tools. Her communicator crackled, a faint signal flickering briefly before dying. She was alone. Completely alone. Leora sat against the wall of the pit, taking deep breaths to calm herself. Her mind raced. The mission, her team, everything she had trained for, was this the end? A predator's growl echoed from above, sending a shiver down her spine. She scanned the pit with her flashlight, but the shadows were thick and alive. Moving carefully, she tried to stay out of reach of the glowing eyes she could just make out in the darkness. Hours passed. Each second stretched endlessly. Leora's energy drained as hunger, fear, and exhaustion took their toll. She remembered her childhood, training on Earth for this moment, the long hours of simulations and drills. None of it had prepared her for this, trapped, alone, and hunted in an alien world. Her leg throbbed with pain, every movement sending sparks of agony through her body. Then faintly at first she heard it, a sound that cut through the oppressive silence. Boots. Human boots crunching on the alien vegetation above. Her heart leapt. She shouted, her voice hoarse. "Hello, anyone, help!" The sound grew louder, deliberate, steady. Someone was coming. Leora scrambled to her feet, using the crystal walls to brace herself. Her hands were bleeding from the slips, but hope surged through her veins. "Please be human," she whispered, almost pleading. A rope ladder descended into the pit, landing just out of reach. Leora lunged, catching it with both hands. Her arms shook with the effort, but she managed to grip the ladder, her feet finding purchase on the rungs. Strong hands gripped her from above, pulling with a force that made her stumble at first but then lifted her out of the trap. When her feet finally hit solid ground, she looked up. The figure above her was tall, clad in battle-worn armor that gleamed faintly under the moonlight. The helmet concealed his face, but Leora felt a wave of recognition. This was no ordinary rescuer. He radiated confidence, skill, and an aura of calm that made the jungle itself seem less threatening. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice deep and steady. I think so," Leora replied, her voice trembling with relief. Who are you?" The helmet tilted slightly, revealing a familiar set of eyes that made her gasp. "Commander Rin, a legend among humans, thought to be missing after a fierce battle in the outer colonies. He had survived against impossible odds before, and now here he was on Zythera 9, pulling her from a trap that should have killed her." "No time for introductions," Rin said, his tone firm but not unkind. We need to move. Together, they navigated the jungle. Leora leaned on Rin when her leg ached, grateful for his support. Every step brought new dangers, predators hidden in the mist, treacherous terrain, and strange alien plants that seemed to react to their presence. Rin moved with confidence, neutralizing threats silently, his movements precise and calculated. Leora watched, impressed, realizing that humanity's best could survive even in the most alien conditions. As they moved, Leora learned more about Rin's mission. The rogue faction he hunted sought to weaponize the energy readings she had been sent to investigate. The readings weren't just anomalies. They were a potential source of immense power, and in the wrong hands could destroy entire colonies. Fate had brought them together, two humans thrown into an alien world, forced to trust each other completely. Night deepened, and the mist thickened. Leora's exhaustion grew, but adrenaline pushed her forward. Rin's presence was a constant reassurance, his calm commands and sharp instincts a counterbalance to her rising fear. They reached a river, its water glowing faintly with alien energy. Crossing it was risky, but there was no other path. Halfway across, a massive shadow loomed beneath the surface. Leora froze, but Rin didn't hesitate. With a swift motion, he grabbed her and propelled them both to the opposite bank, narrowly avoiding the snapping jaws of a predator. Leora's heart pounded in her chest. How did you know it was there?" she asked, breathless. "Experience," Rin replied simply. "Never underestimate this world. It has a way of testing you." They set up a temporary camp in a small clearing, using their limited supplies to patch up injuries and restore energy. Around them, the jungle hummed and shifted, alive and watchful. Leora sat beside Rin, amazed at how calm he remained in the face of constant danger. For the first time in hours, she allowed herself to rest, though sleep seemed impossible with the unknown lurking all around. As dawn approached, the source of the energy readings loomed ahead, a massive alien structure rising from the jungle, glowing with an otherworldly light. It pulsed with energy, and Leora could feel the vibrations through the ground. This was what they had been searching for, the heart of the danger, but it was guarded by traps and no doubt more predators or rogue humans lay in wait. Rin studied the structure silently, analyzing the approach. "We need to be careful," he said. "Inside that place is more than just energy readings. It's a weapon waiting to be activated." Leora nodded, her fear tempered by determination. "Then let's stop it," she said. Together, they approached the alien structure, moving with caution. Each step was tense, every shadow a potential threat. The jungle seemed to close in around them, but they pressed on, driven by duty, courage, and the shared understanding that failure was not an option. Suddenly, a faint alarm sounded from the structure, a warning that they had been detected. Rin signaled Leora to stay low. They crouched behind a cluster of glowing vines as drones emerged, hovering with mechanical precision. Leora's pulse raced, but she followed Rin's lead, moving silently, evading detection with the skill of a trained scout. Hours of careful maneuvering brought them to the entrance. Leora's hands trembled as she activated the scanner, confirming the rogue faction's presence inside. She looked at Rin, who nodded once sharply. "This is it. We go in together." As they stepped inside the structure, the air changed. It was charged with energy, humming with a force that made the hairs on Leora's arms stand on end. Strange machinery lined the walls, and alien symbols glowed faintly on the floor. Leora's heart pounded, but she felt a strange exhilaration too, the thrill of facing the unknown, of proving that humanity could survive against impossible odds. Rin's hand brushed hers briefly as they moved forward, a silent gesture of reassurance and trust. Leora realized that in this moment, it wasn't just survival that mattered. It was courage, determination, and the bond between humans who refused to give up, no matter how alien the world or how deadly the traps. The first part ends with Leora and Rin standing before the inner chamber of the alien structure, its doors glowing with an ominous red light. Somewhere inside, the rogue faction prepared to harness the energy for destruction, unaware that two humans had arrived, ready to stop them. Leora's breath caught as she glanced at Rin. "Are we ready?" she asked. He smiled faintly, eyes steady and calm. "We were born ready," he said. And together they stepped into the unknown. The doors of the alien structure loomed before Leora and Rin, glowing ominously with red light. A hum of energy filled the air, vibrating through the floor and into their boots. Every instinct in Leora's body screamed caution, but she drew a deep breath, steadying herself. They had no choice but to move forward. Rin stepped first, his movements calm and deliberate. Leora followed closely, scanning the walls and floor for hidden traps. The inner chamber stretched wide, its ceiling high and shadowed. Strange machinery lined the walls, pulsating with alien energy, and panels flickered with unreadable symbols. The air smelled faintly of ozone, sharp and metallic. Ahead, humans in rogue faction armor were working quickly, unaware of the two intruders. They were manipulating the alien machinery, adjusting dials and inserting devices that glowed with dangerous energy. Leora felt a cold shiver run down her spine. If they activated the device, the consequences could be catastrophic, not just for Sci-Fi 9 but for nearby colonies. Rin crouched behind a glowing console, whispering, "We have to disable their access points first. Follow my lead." Leora nodded. She felt her heart hammering in her chest, but her mind sharpened. Every lesson, every drill she had undergone, every mission she had survived, this was what it had prepared her for. Quietly, she moved alongside Rin, avoiding the rogue faction members' line of sight. The first access point was a console at the center of the chamber. Rin signaled Leora to cover him. As he worked, Leora scanned the room. One of the rogue soldiers glanced in their direction, suspicion flickering across his face. She froze, hiding behind a thick cable spool, holding her breath. The soldier turned back unaware, and she exhaled slowly. Rin's fingers moved swiftly across the alien interface, analyzing the symbols and inputting codes. The console beeped softly, then powered down with a hum. One access point disabled. Leora felt a small surge of hope. They had taken the first step, but she knew the worst was yet to come. Suddenly, alarms blared through the chamber. Red lights flashed and the hum of energy grew louder. The rogue faction soldiers looked around in panic, realizing that someone had tampered with their system. One of them shouted, "Intruders, find them!" Leora's pulse raced. Rin grabbed her hand, pulling her behind a wall of machinery. "Stay close," he said, his voice low but firm. "We can't let them reach the control panel again." The soldiers spread out, moving methodically through the chamber. Leora's training kicked in. She noticed the shadows and the flickering of the red lights. With a deep breath, she picked up a loose energy conduit from the floor and flung it toward a group of approaching soldiers. Sparks flew, and the soldiers jumped back, momentarily distracted. Rin used the moment to move toward another access point, a large device glowing with a bright, dangerous light. Leora followed, keeping low and moving silently. She marveled at Rin's skill, his ability to anticipate movements and neutralize threats without drawing attention. She realized why he was considered humanity's finest. He was not just strong, but brilliant, calculating, and fearless. As they reached the second access point, a soldier turned a corner and spotted them. He raised his weapon, shouting. Instantly, Rin sprang into action. In a fluid motion, he disarmed the soldier, using precise movements that were both efficient and non-lethal. Leora watched, impressed and inspired. Together, they neutralized another soldier, then quickly disabled the second access point. But the alarms continued. The rogue faction leader appeared, a tall figure in black armor with glowing red accents. He carried a weapon that pulsed with energy, and his eyes narrowed as he took in the scene. "So, the humans think they can stop me," he said, his voice cold and menacing. Rin stepped forward, positioning himself between Leora and the leader. "Step away from the console," he commanded. The leader laughed, a harsh, metallic sound. "You don't know what you're facing. This energy will make me unstoppable." Leora felt a surge of determination. She couldn't let fear control her. She moved alongside Rin, ready to face whatever came next. The leader raised his weapon, and the chamber filled with a blinding flash of light. Energy surged through the air, making the floor beneath their feet hum violently. Rin grabbed Leora, pulling her out of the direct line of fire. Together, they dove behind a console as blasts of energy struck the floor and walls. Sparks flew, and the hum of machinery grew deafening. Leora's mind raced. She had to act, but how could she stop the leader without being overwhelmed? Then she noticed the weak point. A small panel on the back of the leader's weapon glowed faintly. If they could disable it, the weapon would lose power. She whispered to Rin, who nodded without hesitation. "On three," Rin said. "1, 2, 3. They leapt forward. Rin engaged the leader directly, blocking energy blasts and keeping him distracted. Leora sprinted toward the panel, her hands steady despite the adrenaline. With a swift motion, she pried it open and twisted the connectors. Sparks flew, and the weapon powered down with a loud hiss. The leader's eyes widened in shock. He tried to react, but Rin moved with precision, tackling him and pinning him to the ground. Leora joined, securing the device that powered the energy surge. The room fell silent except for the heavy hum of the alien machinery, now stable and under control. They had done it. The rogue faction's plan was stopped. The energy that could have been weaponized was safely contained, and the threat to human colonies was neutralized. Leora's chest heaved with relief, exhaustion mixing with exhilaration. Rin stood, brushing off his armor. "Good work," he said, his tone calm but approving. "You kept your head when it mattered most." Leora smiled, still catching her breath. "We did it together," she replied. They spent the next few hours ensuring the alien machinery was secured, documenting its functions, and preparing a report for the United Earth Fleet. Leora marveled at the complexity of the technology and at the courage of the humans who had worked to stop it. It was a reminder that humanity was capable of extraordinary feats, even in the face of impossible odds. As they exited the structure, the sun of Zythera 9 began to rise, casting a warm glow over the jungle. The mist that had seemed so oppressive the night before now sparkled with the light, revealing the beauty of a world that was both dangerous and awe-inspiring. Rin and Leora walked side by side, their steps slower now, fatigue settling into their muscles. Yet there was a quiet satisfaction in their movements. They had faced death, traps, and overwhelming danger, and they had prevailed. Humanity's courage, intelligence, and unbreakable spirit had carried them through. Leora looked at Rin, feeling a mix of admiration and gratitude. "I never thought I'd make it out of that pit," she admitted. He smiled faintly. "And yet here you are," he said, "stronger for it." Humans have a way of surviving, even when the odds are against them. They reached the edge of the jungle where a shuttle was waiting, ready to transport them back to the United Earth Fleet's base. Leora paused, glancing back at the alien structure one last time. It had been a trap, a test, and a battle for survival, but they had emerged victorious. The shuttle lifted off, carrying them above the jungle canopy. Leora felt the tension in her body begin to melt away as they ascended into the sky. She watched Zythera 9 shrink beneath them, a world of danger, beauty, and mystery. And she knew, deep down, that humanity would always rise to face whatever challenges awaited among the stars. Rin sat beside her, quiet for a moment, then said, "You were brave today, Leora. Not everyone could have done what you did." "I wasn't alone," she replied. "You were here too, that made all the difference." He nodded, a faint smile on his lips. "Then I'd say we make a good team." Leora felt a sense of warmth at his words. The mission had tested them in every way, physically, mentally, and emotionally. but it had also shown them the strength of trust, teamwork, and human resilience. Together, they had faced the unknown and emerged victorious. As the shuttle sped through the skies, leaving Zythera 9 behind, Leora realized that this mission would stay with her forever. Not just the danger or the alien world, but the proof that humans could rise above fear, survive against impossible odds, and prevail with courage and determination. The stars stretched endlessly before them, promising new adventures, new challenges, and new opportunities to prove the indomitable spirit of humanity. And Leora knew, without a doubt, that as long as humans stood together, no trap, alien or otherwise, could ever truly hold them down. She looked at Rin and he looked back. No words were needed. The bond forged in the heat of danger was enough. They had survived, they had triumphed, and they had proven once again that humanity could shine brightly, even in the darkest corners of the universe. And with that, Leora leaned back, letting the hum of the shuttle soothe her tired body, ready for whatever the stars would throw at her next. Humanity had won, and she was proud to be part of that victory.